G'day and welcome back to my channel. Now this is part 2 of the review of this GeeeTech Alkaid 3D resin printing machine, which at the moment is only $99 US on special. Yes, I thought it was $99 Australian, but I misread the website. There's buttons on there that said AUS and what have you. That's actually the location where you are. You'd think they'd put it in Aussie dollars, wouldn't you? But they didn't. No, you've got to find this USD, AUD, ABC, whatever your shekels are. You need to set it to that. So this actually turns out to be $149 Australian, plus postage, plus your resin. You're looking at about $200 to land a brand new 3D resin printer. And look, I plugged this in, I switched it on, I put the files in, I put the resin in, I hit the go button, and things came out, right? Things came out, no problems at all, all right? I didn't have to do much at all. These were all a lot of fun, okay? So everything that I got it to do, it did well. It did absolutely perfectly. I'll go into these in detail in the video, right? So, you know, all of this, straight out of the box. Obviously, they're the files that were on the USB stick they provided. Yep, they all printed beautifully, no problems at all. In fact, I did not have one single failure with this printer. Right, because you hear all the horror stories of spaghettifying and, you know, lettucing and stringing and whatever and exploding, you know. None of that. Nothing. Everything worked. Everything printed. The only problems I had were my own making, and they were sort of after the fact. I'll talk about those. Even when I printed some aftermarket stuff, right? So I actually had to purchase this, and it was for my friend David Eves. He's a minion. And then I had to put it into the Chitubox. I shit you not. Chitubox, that's what it's called, software, and that was a breeze, right? I was a bit worried about that. That was a breeze, that was it. The whole experience was easy. Anybody can do it, right? If I can do it, anybody can do it. So this is literally like an appliance. It's like a microwave or something, you know? You basically buy it out of the box. You've got a little bit of, you know, click a few things in, which is what we did in the last video, right? Nothing really difficult that any person can do. It's assembled, switch it on, go. It's that easy. And I'll show you this Chitubox software, despite its silly name, is so easy to use. Literally just type a few numbers in, save that, you never have to do it again, push a few buttons, bingo bongo, you have got 3D prints. It really takes all the mystery out of it, right? So this is no longer for geeks. This is for anybody that wants to get into 3D printing. And at a price point of $99 US, it's a bargain. All right, you want to see more? Good. Roll music. One thing I said last time, because I was still learning, is I was saying that there were lasers in this thing, right? Well, there are lasers in some of these resin printers, but not this one. Okay, so I got that wrong, all right? So I don't think anybody picked up on it, but just in case, I got the price wrong, and I got the lasers wrong. So you thought, oh, good, I'm getting this laser thing for $99. No, there's no lasers, and it's not $99. Well, not in Australia anyway. But anyhow, still a good price, okay? It was just an innocent mistake by a grumpy old man. So there you go. Now, as I said, all I had to do was plug this in, switch it on, off I went, okay? So it was really as easy as that. And that was shown in part 1. Now, you don't need to look at part 1 now. If you want to, later on you can. But basically, I'm going to cover all the printing, which is probably what most people are interested in. Now, one interesting statistic, right? Benchy. All right, this is well known, apparently, in the modelling community, right? 3D modelling community. It's called a Benchy. It looks like, you know, a little Steamboat Willie from, from Mickey Mouse. Okay, this on a brand new bamboo filament printer, which prints at a huge rate of knots. This prints at about 18 odd minutes, right? Comes out perfectly smooth because it's got a whole lot of things on it. You can't see it. It's got smooth areas, it's got matte areas, it's got textured areas, it's got hollows and everything, right? So that's it. It's got no supports. You print it like that. Boom. That's how you print it, straight off your base plate. And it's a test to see what your printer can do because it can trick some printers. But I got no spaghetti, no strings, no nothing, right? No demarcations between the various areas. It all printed perfectly. So, for this little GeeeTech printer, that was a win. It did the Benchy. The only trade-off is, okay, bamboo can do it in 18 minutes. We're looking at nearly 2 hours. Now, GeeeTech specs on the printer, right, the Alkaid, is 30 millimeters per hour, and this is probably about 60 millimeters tall, so that is correct. It'll take 2 hours to print. And this is the thing with resin printers as opposed to filament printers, right? With resin printers, it's all about the height. Now, you can have 10 of those benchies on there, right? They'll all still print in 2 hours. It doesn't matter the width or the breadth, it's the height, right? It's all about height because each layer is a photograph that it snaps, right? Without lasers. No lasers, no lasers. So you can have lots. So the I've got a whole stack of these little Viking warriors here that I printed, or oarsmen, right? And I put about 30 on there. And 30 printed in the same time as my first 2 that I tested. So that's the thing. You can do a lot. Now, a filament won't do that. Filament will have to actually go and do everything. It'll be slower. So, you know, if you put 10 benchies on the filament printer, it's not going to do it in 18 minutes. It probably will take an hour, 4 or 2. And that's the thing. So there's horses and courses. But anyhow, it's not a fast printer. It's only doing 30 millimeters per hour. So something like the Eiffel Tower, right? That's a 9-hour job. Yep. That's when I had to set overnight to do and then pick it up in the morning. So, you know, that's how the little fella went. And it was a bit tricky, the Eiffel Tower. That's my second one. Not because the printer stuffed up. The first one came off the printer beautifully. The second one came off the printer beautifully. What I did wrong is the first one, I was cleaning it, because after you've printed them, you've got to clean them, okay? So this is the process. I'll go through it in a sec. But you've got to clean the resin off, because the resin's all sort of toxic, okay? I got to wear this lovely suit. That's the only way I could cope. Even though I had bought water-washable, low-odour resin to hopefully avoid the problems, because I had respiratory issues due to chronic bronchitis when I was young, right? That's my problem. So to avoid that, I got one that was low-odour. But like low-odour turpentine, I found that you couldn't smell it, but it was still there. My eyes were bloodshot and I was, you know, high as a kite in fumes and everything. Invisible fumes, right? Now, what had happened is I printed this and then I wanted to print, I think, David Eve's thing, the thing. So I had this just put aside. I dumped it in a water vat that I had to try and wash stuff off. Forgot all about it, okay? And I don't have it here. So I completely forgot about it and left it in the water overnight. Now it's water-soluble resin. That's how you wash it, okay? Your little toothbrush out and you give it a good scrub and you wash it. And you soak it in the water. So that overnight while I printed David's thing, which took about, it took about 6 hours, I think. Yeah, the whole Eiffel Tower turned into an Eiffel corkscrew. It just all melted and all the little thin rails fell off and oops. So the trick is, as soon as you've printed this stuff, is to wash it and then dry it and then put it into some UV light source and cure it. Don't leave it lying around in a bucket. It doesn't really work, okay? The very first thing I printed was this line. So there you go, there's some pics here I'll show as we go. So the line, it's got a whole lot of supports on it. They were all built into the file that was provided. And so that line took a few hours. I think that line took about 6 hours or something to do. It took some time, yes, because it's, you know, again, it's about nearly 90 mils tall. It's quite tall. It's higher than the benchy, right? So there's benchy, right? Benchy is 2 hours. This one was probably maybe 3-4 hours. I don't know. I'm forgetting now. I know that the Eiffel Tower took 9 hours. I know that. The Dragon, I printed that, and that went very well, and I'll show photos as we go. It printed beautifully. It's not very tall, you see, because it's basically flat. It's only got his nose sticking up. So the Dragon printed absolutely spot on. It is really detailed, okay? It is really lovely. So that's the thing. But obviously, they had put their best files, the ones they knew any idiot could print in there. And so they were instant successes, okay? But then when it came to printing something like this, which was a file that I got off the interwebs for David, because he wanted this minion, right? And to get this going, we would have to use the Chitubox software, because the file we got was not in the CTB format and it was not sliced. So now I want to talk about slicing, dicing, and erecting. Alright, the Chitubox software. I had to download the Mac version from Chitubox website, but that wasn't hard. I got a free version of it. There is the PC version on the little USB thing that GeeeTech supplies you. Now, this is it. And it comes and you get, this little thing. It shows you your plate. Now I've already messed with this, okay? I've already set the figures. Now what you need to do is in the instructions. So the figures here basically just set the base plate size, which is 70, 120, 150. There's just some numbers there you've got to put in. Put those numbers in, do exactly what they say, follow it, okay? It's pretty self-explanatory. They go through it all. And then you save that off as a profile. They tell you how to do that. It's as easy as that. It takes you like about a minute. Once you've got the profile in there, then that's the basically your little GeeeTech Alkaid Printer space. Okay, there it is. Then what you've got to do is you can start bringing in stuff. So it's as easy as going to up here, open, okay, and I have a whole lot of stuff here in a 3D folder somewhere. 3D files, and I have the minion for Dave, right? So minion for Dave in here. I have an STL file for his body, okay, and open it up. There he is. There's little Dave, okay. Now he's only going to print very small because that is your base plate size. All right, so that's 13 centimeters by 8 centimeters. So I thought, well, he could be a bit bigger and we can make it a bit more interesting. So the first thing I did was click on him, all right? And then over here, I've got all these instructions. I've got move and rotate, scale. All I want to do is scale him. I need him to be bigger. So I lock the ratio. This is very important, right? Lock ratio. What that means is if you make one side bigger, all the rest will follow. Otherwise, I'd be making him very tall if I didn't bother locking the other two. So lock ratio, I must have already had it clicked, and 50 millimeters, right? There he is, okay. On move, I just want him centered, so center him and make sure he's just touching the plate. Well, okay. So there he is, he's ready to go. Now you can't print him like that. You really need to have some feet, okay? Because he's got areas that just hang out, things hanging in the air. That won't print. That foot won't print. It'll print that little dot and it'll just fall. All right? It'll be hanging. So you can't leave things hanging, little hands. So what you've got over here is, on this side, you've got basically supports. Now I don't worry about any of the instructions. I haven't got a clue. I just simply push all. All right? Push all. There you go. Supports. Done. That's all I had to do. Okay? So that's done. And then over to here, we're ready. We've got supports. He's sitting nicely at the size that I want. I push slice. That's it. It's done. All I need to do now is save him. Okay. So I save him off, and basically you're going to have to save him to that little USB stick. And then away you go. You take that USB stick then to the printer. That's one of the big bugbears with this is you don't have any network connectivity. So you're going to have to put it on the little USB stick and hand walk it over. But then again, my printer is in a room at the back where it's smelly, and my computer is here where it's not. So they're going to be separate anyway. But some of the printers you get, you can actually shoot the thing through the Wi-Fi and away it goes. But it's no big deal, okay? So easy as that. Dave the Minion is therefore ready to rock and roll. Easy as that. All right, so I've got the file already shoved in the back of the printer, okay? All I had to do was, turn the printer on, select the file from the print menu, all right, which I did last time in the last video. Really easy. You push print button, there's the file. It even shows up with a little drawing of what you're going to print. So it sort of takes the file and it makes a little thumbnail, So you go, oh yeah, that's my minion. Hit that and away it goes, and it'll even tell you how long it's going to take. So it'll approximate, it'll try and work it out. And then as it goes, it'll tell you how the time elapsed and what it now thinks the time is going to be. Because even the 30 millimeter per hour quoted rate is best case scenario, probably for just planting something straight, like a block of cheese, right? But if it's intricate and it's got details and everything, like that Eiffel Tower had lots of crisscrosses and things, that kind of slows it down a little bit. It has to be, whatever it has to do. So we just leave it to go. That's it. It's like baking a cake. You just put it in the oven, as long as you've got it all set and your mixture is correct. You cross your fingers, right? And away you go. You go to sit down and have a cup of tea, watch a bit of Days of Our Lives or something like that. Whatever it is you want to do. And that's the thing. Sure, there's long print times, but there's plenty of things for us modelers to keep going with. So, and some of them prints like I did the Eiffel Tower, you can print them overnight, because when it's finished, it'll just go to the top. Okay, so a bit like we've been seeing some time-lapse sort of printing here. And at the end, yeah, it just rises out of the resin, and there it is, upside down. Poor old little Dave the Minion, he's hanging upside down, and he's dripping with resin. So it doesn't matter if you're not there immediately. It's sort of good if you can be, but if you sort of miss it by a little while, an hour or so, it's not the end of the world, okay? I did all my printing in pretty well a dark room, and I had the blinds down, I had heaps of ventilation out through the garage, okay? And the temperature was between 10 degrees at night and, well, it was up to 25 in the day outside, but that's the coolest room in the house, because I had it in my southern room. And if you know anything about the southern hemisphere, the southern room is the coolest, okay? The northern hemisphere, you're around the other way, because you bastards are upside down. I'm the right way up. Anyhow, so it's my coolest room. It probably only got to 20 during the day. So my temperature range was between 10 degrees and 20 degrees always. And there seemed to be no problem. It always printed. No worries at all. I had no difference in the quality of the prints. I also did not empty my resin receptacle. Not once. All right? There's plenty of people going, oh, you have to do this, you have to strain it out every time. No, didn't. For a whole 7 days, all I did was top the little resin tub up whenever I needed it, right? Shake the bottle and top it up. That's all I did. And I just kept printing the same resin. What I was trying to do is to see if I could foul it up, see if you could cock the thing up, right? For like a newbie doing it all wrong. And I didn't. I just kept running the same resin. After the 7 days, when I knew I'd be taking a long break, I did pour the resin out, I filtered it, I put it back in the bottle, I washed everything out, and so it's all nice and clean now. So it's sort of probably like an airbrush experience where while you're actually airbrushing, there's no need to keep cleaning it out unless you get a clog. You just keep spraying stuff through it and the thinners and everything will keep it going, right? You only do your clean at the end of your session because you know you're putting down your brushes for a day or two or a week or whatever. I think the same principle applies here. While you're using it and you're in continuous use, as long as you're keeping the base plate, right, the print plate, as long as you're keeping that clean, because that's the procedure. Once I've finished the print, off comes the base plate, out it comes, I wash the base plate, still with the model on, get that all clean. That stops most of the mess, because I found what was causing a lot of mess everywhere when I was first doing it is I'd pull out the base plate, it'd be dripping with bloody, leftover resin, that'll be all over my hands, and that'll be all over the bench, and all over the bloody printer. So what I did from then on is I'd loosen the base plate, bring it out so it's just loose, and tilt it so that any excess resin on the base plate, right, would fall back in to the printer. So then I'd take it to the sink with my toothbrush, I'd clean the plate first. Once that's out of the way, that's really stops a lot of problems. Then you can flip it up with the toothbrush and clean. I even got to the point where I didn't need 2 gloves because I'd realised when the lid was on, I could come and check on it without wearing my gear because there was no fumes coming out of this with the lid on. It was all self-contained system. The only time I needed my respiratory gear and my eye protection was when I was going to take this off. So it was basically when a print was coming off or resin was going in and I was setting up for another job. So that reduced the amount of faff that I had to do. I only did the whole suiting up and gloving up for those short periods. So when I was washing, I realised, well, there's only one hand actually touching it and getting resin on it. My toothbrush is in the other hand, and by the time I've kind of washed off most of it, this hand is right next to running water and it's not getting anything on it. And I had detergent there straight away as well. So once I'd done everything and cleaned it all up and removed it from the plate, I basically made sure I had detergent on my hands, and away I went. And I've had no effect on my hands, so that'd be the thing. Even though I had a cut. Now this mortal wound that I got actually doesn't look too bad now, but it was gushing with blood at the time. I actually got that using the scraper, removing this from the base plate. Now the problem is, I printed this flush. I just printed this flush on the base plate, right? Rookie mistake. And it printed up fine. That didn't take long at all. It only took about 20 minutes to print. It's not very tall. See, this is for the bottom of the Minion, Dave. And when it came to taking it off, well, you've got a suction surface. See, that was flat and it had liquid on it and it's on a metal base plate like that. Okay, like a bloody tentacle from an octopus. The little sucker wasn't going to move. And I couldn't believe it. I'm banging it with the bloody thing and banging it. Eventually, I'm basically, knee up on the bench and got the bloody scraper and I'm banging, and then whoopah, it slipped. This popped off and the scraper, little plastic scraper, went through the glove into this hand, and this hand, the other end of the scraper, went into this hand, and I got blood pouring everywhere. There's blood all over the model. I bleed for these reviews so that you can get the information you need. So, oops. Now, there's a solution to that. What you do is You never print something big like that flat. What you do is, in that Chitubox, you can tilt it up a little bit, okay? And then you put those little supports under there. You can just hit auto and do that. So I did that later on with something else. I think it was something I was printing. And problem solved, because then you've only got this tiny edge touching, if at all. And breaking off the little supports is really easy. They just break, and then you can chisel off the support. The bases for those supports are easy. But never ever print something big and flat like that. Not if you want to get it off the base plate. So in conclusion, it's a good little printer. Nothing wrong with it, okay? The only thing I'd probably suggest you consider is, will it last? Now, I'll have to be truthful here. I was asked to put a rating on a page about GeeeTech and printers and everything. And I told the truth. I told them what I was doing. I was reviewing it for YouTube. Everything had been perfect so far. Everything had worked. They were great to talk to. This was the truth. But about 90% of the other people weren't very happy. Wasn't this printer, all right? So don't worry. So if you go and find all those reviews and go, well, it's chalk and cheese. It's for something else, okay? It's not for this. It's not for this printer. Hopefully, it'll last. I mean, I ran the pants off it for a week, seeing if I could break it. I did 40 hours. I did 12 prints, okay? And that was it, going all week, on and off, and all those temperature ranges. And at no time did it let me down. It just printed, quite happy. So the only mistakes were mine, where I left something sitting in water and it melted, and I put a base plate on the wrong way on a thing, and then ended up getting an injury on my arm, okay? There is a question of the resin, and you will need some sort of protective stuff. Now that Darth Vader outfit there, that's actually really cheap. I got that from Bunnings here. That, with the glasses, protective eyewear and everything, cost me $50 Australian. It's about $30 US. And it's a good investment, because I can also use that in my paint booth should I be doing lacquers or anything like that, which I also struggle with, and I could be sick for a week after doing that. Well, that filtration mask, it's great. And here's the best part. You know, we were all wearing those masks during the Great Apocalypse, right? During the Great Plague. That big gainly thing is really easy to put on. It's got a skull cap. You pop the skull cap on, you drab it on, you click at the back, you're off, you're going. You hardly even know you got it on. It's got a perfect seal. One of those is just what you need for this kind of job. And it's easy to put on, so you'll always want to put it on, right? It's not like, horrible Wu Fang Dung masks that we got sick of. No, it's pretty easy to use. Does the job, and you'll save yourself some grief, because the fumes, whether you're using low odor or not, are toxic. They are carcinogenic, and they will kill you eventually. So make sure you got ventilation, make sure you're masked up, at least only when you're taking the lid off, okay? So there's that. Print speed is slow, but that's not such a big deal, because, unless you want to manufacture, well, if you're going to manufacture, don't buy this. You're going to have to buy something much more robust. This is domestic. This is just for a hobbyist to print. And in that, it does the job well. Everything I threw at it, printed. The software wasn't hard to use. I've got a whole lot of things planned. I've got spaceships and everything like that I want to get printed now. And I'm super confident everything that I put in this will print without any drama. All right? So any device you can buy that works out of the box, you don't have much of a learning curve. It just simply does what it says. That's got to be a good thing. And that's basically my conclusion for this printer. Okay, so there you go. Look, I hope you liked all that. And there's buttons down here. Push buttons. These buttons are important, so they tell me. Okay, push buttons, things happen. Yeah, that's all I can say. So look, that's the end of that review. I hope you enjoyed it. It's probably a long one. I don't know. It seems like I shot a lot of footage. But, and buy me a curry. Yeah, buy me a curry. Yeah, I need feeding. Look, I'm wasting away. I'm half my usual size. Yes. Diet of curry and chocolate. Who knew it made you fat? All right, that's it. It's goodbye from Australia, and it's hooroo from Harry Houdini.